Hello, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. You should be able to see me and hear me. If you can't, sorry, I just unclicked it, so that would make sense why you couldn't see me there for a hot second. Anybody can't see me, can't hear me, just let me know in the chat. Really excited that you've joined us. This is a new project that Internship and Career Services has started together with the Alumni Office. We started it in March, doing webinars on professional development for our alumni. It's a great way to get our alumni engaged and continue to be a resource for them, even after your 4 years here. And also let you know that Internship and Career Services is a free service for life. We're always here for our alumni and our current students. So we're really excited to be doing this new project and excited that you are joining us. For those of you who did not attend the first one, the first one we did was LinkedIn and resumes, which was really exciting. And so here I've got my slideshow pulled up. Sorry, I thought it was pulled up and it looks like, there we go. We've got some new technology we're trying out, so hopefully it's going well for all of you as well. I'm Casey Schreiner. I am the employer assistant in the Internship and Career Services office. So I work with employers to get them to come to campus and recruit, and it is super fun. And so I do a lot of networking, working with students who are on the job hunt as well, and helping recruiters find good talent here at Butler, which is a really fun job. So just a little bit about Internship and Career Services. We do it all. So I do a lot of our event planning for career fairs and whatnot, and alumni are always more than welcome to come if you live in the Indianapolis area, or if not, you're in town. But all career prep and planning, resumes, cover letters, interview prep, self-assessments, job and internship searching, networking help, you name it, we do it for people of all ages, all different walks of life. It's actually really fun. From the last webinar, we had a handful of alumni come into our office. For those of you who live far away and not in Indy, we can do Skype or phone or email or e-critiques. So just because you don't live here, we are here for you, and we have all kinds of different things to do. So if you have any questions, the chat function is going to be where you are going to want to do that. I do have some questions that I know that you guys submitted when you signed up. Just some other housekeeping things too. Just wanted to let you guys know too about the Butler alumni website, because if you update your contact information with the alumni office, then you'll have an updated email to get, we'll have your updated email to send you notices about these different events that we're doing, which is awesome. And then we'll be doing another one of these webinars in the fall in August regarding to applying for grad school, if that's something that you're interested in, going back to school. And just let us know too about what you're interested in learning about. So that's all the housekeeping. So job and networking strategies, everybody's favorite thing, everybody's favorite process. You know, job hunting is a job in itself, and it can be an overwhelming task, but the best thing to do is to prepare. And so that's what we're going to talk about first. I figured we needed a race car driver quote since the Indy 500 is this weekend. Success is where preparation and opportunity meet. And so this first bit we're going to talk about is, how do you prepare for the job search? How do you make the most of it? What's important? What do you need to know? So first and foremost, our office, we are big believers in self-reflection, and you got to ask yourself some of these tough questions to make things easier on the back end. I think self-reflection, it will help you identify where you want your job search to take you. Some of these questions that I think are important to think about are, what are your skills and interests? What are your strengths? What are some values that matter to you? What type of work environment do you want to be in? What are values that matter to you? What industries interest you? I think there's nothing worse than, you know, being in a situation, in a job, in a position that you don't like, you don't feel fulfilled, it's not the right fit, and then you go and you just find another job, and then there are things wrong there, and then you go to the next one. I mean, no job is ever going to be perfect. We know that just because that's life. But I think asking yourself some of these questions is going to make your job search a lot easier. Like if you can nail down that your issue with your current workplace or your current profession or your current industry is X. It's the work-life balance. It's the management style. It's the, I don't like the detail work. I like more of the big picture work. Thinking through some of those things is going to help you be so much more strategic in the long run and ask better questions in the interview process. Target different companies. Are you willing to move? Are you not willing to move? Are you okay with working evenings? Are you not okay with working evenings? I think that asking yourself these questions are going to just really help you in the long run. And then you kind of do your research on the industry. And when you kind of come to those conclusions of what you're looking for, well, what kind of world are you entering in? You're going to make a better decision that way. These are a few different resources. Some of them I think that you have probably heard of, others maybe not. Career One Stop is really great. It shows information about different occupations. Here, I'll pull it up real quick. Make sure my links work. There we go. So you can do like an occupation profile, which I think is pretty cool. And I'm just going to do teaching. And we'll do Indianapolis because this is where we're at. So see all these different things. So even different fields, post-secondary, secondary school. So let's say you want to go back and get your PhD in psychology. Here's all these different things that you can look at here. If I can get it to pull up. So sorry about that. It's not wanting to show very well here. So here's the projected employment in Indiana and in the U.S. On the other side here, you can see like projected salaries, which you'll probably be able to see better on your own screen at home. So it says that you cannot see the screen. Here we go. Can everybody see this now? Okay, so sorry about that. Is that better? Oh, I see what it is. Every time I click over to a website, I don't think that it like clicks out. So thank you so much for sharing that info. Well, we're going to send you this so you'll be able to see some of the links when we send it back out to you tomorrow. That is a bummer. So Career One Stop is going to show you the projected employment in the state that you look up, also across the U.S., projected salaries, things like that. Chamber of Commerce is a really helpful resource to look at geographical info. So let's say you're wanting to move to Raleigh, North Carolina. You can look at the North Carolina Chamber of Commerce, the Raleigh, North Carolina Chamber of Commerce. The chambers of commerce are the ones who are actively recruiting people to come and live and work in their cities. So they're going to have that information that you want to know. Glassdoor is probably the one you know the most about. Company research, it's anonymous in theory, and has reviews from different people about what it's like to work at a company, and also ideas of salaries and things like that. So it can be a good way to see. So then you're also going to want to get your toolbox ready. After you've done some of this research, you're going to want to prepare your application documents and tailor them for each application. So depending on your field, that's all going to look a little bit different. So resumes, cover letters, your portfolio or a website, perhaps if you're in the creative fields, that's going to be really important. You're going to want to tailor every resume and cover letter per application. So sometimes it's just a good idea to build like a basic structure, like build a resume with every single thing you've ever done on it so that when you need to apply for a job, you can just pull the different sections that you want, format it, and send it. And same with the cover letter, kind of maybe build some of the bones and then tailor it per application. Doing a self-scan on your social media is really important, and do a cleanup if necessary. We actually were reviewing resumes for a position in our office not that long ago, and one of the candidates was like complaining about how potential employers are really annoying in the job search process. And it's like, oh, well, it kind of makes a lot of sense that we don't really want to interview you or talk to you if that's how you feel, particularly in the field of career services. So check that stuff out. Make sure, it's clean and good. Then also check in with your references. Let people know that you're looking, that you are going to want to call them soon and let them know what's up and what's happening with you. Buy interview clothes. Make sure you have your suit ready to roll. That's the fun thing, I guess, one of the fun things. And also start practicing your interviewing skills. So that can be done by just doing some research on interviewing, what that looks like. You can use the guide on our ICS website to get kind of a brief of some of the tidbits that we share with students about and alums about interviewing. And then you can come in and do a mock practice interview with us. Just start kind of sharpening that up. Sometimes it helps too to just kind of think about your pitch. And I think some of that comes in the self-reflection of what are you good at? What are you excited about? Why are you looking? What's new? So now that you've done these things, you've prepared your search tools, you've done some research, you've self-reflected over a cup of hot tea, and you're ready to roll. So you're ready to make a plan. Here we go. So I think the first thing to do is start identifying those job titles and companies that interest you. So let's say you're interested in doing fundraising for a nonprofit. So you're going to want to look for job titles that's like development coordinator, event planner, gift manager, things like that. So you're going to want to know that field. It's going to help you understand what those different job titles look like. So what are companies that interest you? So if you want to work in a nonprofit, what are the nonprofits that you're interested in? And so I think the first thing to do once you've identified those job titles and companies is go follow those companies on LinkedIn so that you always know what's happening. And the more you search things on LinkedIn, the more it'll do its fancy technology to auto-populate things for you. So it'll be like based on your recent search, and you'll have some of those opportunities available. I also think it's really important to identify when you're making a plan, what are the non-negotiables in your job search process. My non-negotiable is that if you have young kids, it might be I need a job where I can leave at 5 and go to baseball games. Maybe it's a salary point. Maybe it's a commute point. Maybe it's certain tasks or autonomy or a work culture that's of interest to you. You have to work in a company that has a bar in it because we have a handful of those in Indianapolis now, all of our tech startups. I don't know what that is for you. You will figure it out. Then I think the next best thing to do is to set some mini goals. Take little bites of things, and it'll help break this process up and make it go so much smoother. So visit our office, ICS, to get a resume critique by the end of the month, or apply to X number of jobs per week or per month, however aggressively you're doing this, or email X number of contacts. So I did an internship for 6 months after graduation, and then decided to move away from a full-time offer there and go into full-on job search mode for 3 months, which was really fun and exciting. As you can imagine. And one of my things that I did was, okay, so I'm going to email somebody, at least somebody new, once a week, or reach out to an old contact. Try to have just an informational interview once a week. And we'll talk a little bit more about networking here in a little bit. But those are some goals that you can just help set for yourself to get the ball rolling, because part of this is just the work that you put in at the front, and it takes a long time to pan out. And so you start searching, and finding the right fit is not a quick process. It can take a really long time. You might get really lucky, and maybe a company is really pursuing you, and that's the only opportunity that you really want. but bada bing, it's a month, everybody's happy, you get to go home and be excited. So that's great. But for other people, this can take up to 6 months, even longer, just to find the right fit. You don't want to leave a bad fit for an even worse fit. So it's okay to be picky and to take your time too. When to apply is going to kind of depend on your field. The 2 times a year that hiring really slows down is in July and August because everyone's on vacation. So, you know, if the one person in HR is gone, everything slows down for everybody at a company, especially in small organizations. And then again, from November to early January, it's the holidays, people are out. Everybody's just trying to wrap up the end of the fiscal year for most organizations as well. So just keep that in mind as you go through this. So how do you search? Where do you look? What do you do? You have tons of online search engines, and you know, we all know how to use the internet. So, but some great suggestions are usajobs.gov for government positions, if that's something you're interested in. Also your professional organizations and industry specifics. I mean, we all have our professional associations that we're involved in, and they all have job boards. Also, I think some other great ideas on here are social media. Following the company on Twitter, following them on Facebook, also seeing if they have any blogs, posting those opportunities. There's all kinds of different ways that they post it. Some other online tools are just their company website. So let's say you've identified that, so say you live in Indianapolis and you want to work at a museum. So you say, I want to work at the Indiana State Museum, the Children's Museum, or Newfields. And you just stalk those company websites like once a week, you look and see what new jobs are posted. Handshake is a resource that Butler uses. This is our job portal that we use for all of campus. And it's not just for students. It's not just for internships. It's everything. And so even people who are mid-career, there's opportunities for you on there. And it's really cool because we partner. There's like 450 other schools on there. So we have companies from all over the country. So it's not even just local. Indeed.com is your typical search engine. Idealist.com is great for nonprofit. If you are in Indy, Charitable Advisors is awesome for Indy nonprofits as well. That's one of my favorite resources. So next, another great method of searching is volunteering. So let's say that there's an organization and you know somebody there and you're just like, hey, can I help you on this project? Or can we get involved in this? Or just like, can you just teach me things? Volunteering just gets you in the door. We actually had somebody in our office who's interested in working in higher ed and had applied for a couple positions in our office, and it, you know, just wasn't the right fit at the time, but she has come and volunteered at some of our career fairs to learn a little bit more and be a help and to network. And that's great. Like, we keep that in mind. We know that that's a possibility. This can also be great for networking. And so we'll start talking about networking and what are some of the strategies. It's this big, scary, fancy word that I think is really intimidating to people. And so I'm excited that we're going to break it down a little bit. So networking is really vital to the job search, and I know that it is intimidating. But estimates are ranging from 70 to 85% of jobs are found through networking. And I know that's a 15% range, but the low range of 70 is not small. And that's about almost 3/4 of jobs are found through networking. And it's really easy. I mean, when it comes down to it, networking is building relationships to share professional thoughts and ideas with the hopes of growing one's career or one's business. And it actually works. It allows you to stay current by learning about all kinds of new things. What are the trends? What are the new sectors? You know, you might go to a networking event and strike up a conversation about something new happening in your city that you didn't even know about. And it's really cool because it might not necessarily directly pertain to what you're doing, but it's still going to broaden your horizons. We know it's always great to be learning. Also, it can help you become a better conversationalist, especially maybe if you're an entrepreneur and conversationalist or sales. Those types of skills are really important. You can also make new friends and professional allies as well. I have gotten some mentors from you know, when I've connected with people that are like I've been introduced to through a friend or a professional contact, it's really great to make new friends and have new people in your corner. And you never know how those relationships are going to develop along the line as well. And networking can also help you land a job, and it is so great. You can break down so many barriers, I think, that people don't even realize when you network. And we'll talk a little bit more about it. So what does it actually like look like? What is it? It's asking for advice and suggestions and contacts. It's the start of a conversation to building a relationship. It just depends. Might be just a quick conversation to ask some advice, but it might be, who knows, like a years-long mentorship. It's also learning about careers from people in those careers. I think, you know, something like Careers One Stop is a great resource to learn about the profile of an occupation club. What is it like to actually go to the hospital or the library or the school every single day and know what that looks like? What isn't networking? Networking is not asking for a job. Networking is a two-way street, and networking is not milking just like a conversation just to use people and asking for preferential treatment. It's really about truly genuinely connecting with people and asking them about their positions and trying to learn about what they do, what their company does, what the company culture is. Because who knows, you could go to a networking meeting and be really excited about something and then realize, oh, this is not what I thought it was. And there you go, like 30 minutes and a cup of coffee, like just saved you perhaps years of unhappiness in a field, or like the shock of the disappointment of it not working out. Couple just like broad tips is to just be helpful, provide relevant information, articles, introductions, and advice. It's been really fun for me as I have gotten into my professional career over these last 2 years to be able to do it back for other people, because I ask so many people for help all the time. So maybe if you see an article that might be of interest to somebody that you've had coffee with or talked to, shoot them an article. Just say, hey, like, thought of you when I read this. You know, an old boss of mine was published in the IBJ earlier this year. And so I just followed up with her and just said, hey, saw the article. It's really exciting. Congrats. You know, it's as easy as that. And so that's where that follow-up and maintaining the connection is huge. Saying thank you is huge. It's huge. It's amazing to me how many students that we talk to sometimes and then they don't say thank you. And it's like, well, we just gave you some like really great connections. And so like, if you're going to talk that way to our office, I hope you're doing it with other people. And saying thank you and following up is going to be huge, and it's going to help you set apart. Also, don't ask for a job. I think it's appropriate to say, like, keep me posted if there are any openings. I'm looking. Like, you don't need to be shy about the fact that you're looking, but you don't also have to say, like, will you give me this job? I think there's some tact in there. Don't be afraid to be bold, but also be polite at the same time. So I think networking can start at a really easy place. Who do you already know that could be a great professional contact? First off, like your family and your friends. Like, what does your cousin do in Denver? What does your best friend from college do? You know, it's been exciting with all my friends, all these different places. Like, it's really awesome because I have some great professional contacts. One of my best friends works at Eli Lilly. Another one of my friends works at a small nonprofit here in Indy that's super well connected in the community. And like, those are great professional contacts, but they're also my friends. Also, what about your former Butler professors? They still know people, they're involved, and have contacts everywhere. Also, I think your mentors and your references are huge. And I think letting them know that you're looking is a huge asset, because they can introduce you to other people. And so networking doesn't necessarily have to be going to those events and just like schmoozing people, but it can just be simple introductions through these folks that you already know through professional contacts. So then how do you actually expand your network and make these new contacts? So like I said, ask for introductions from people that you already know. You can also utilize the LinkedIn alumni feature, which I would gonna show you here. It should be right here. Okay, so can everybody see that since I switched it? I think it looks like you can, from what I can tell. I've got a chat, so let's see. Yes, thank you for letting me know. Sorry, this was pulled up, and I think in the chaos of the switch, it wasn't working. Okay, so here's what my LinkedIn looks like. So this LinkedIn alumni feature is pretty much the coolest thing ever. So you go to linkedin.com/alumni. And it creates basically a database of everybody who says they went to Butler on LinkedIn. So let's say I want to move to Chicago and I work in finance. Oh, sorry, I'm actually going to work in community and social services because it looks like that's what I accidentally clicked. So now I know folks who work at, well, there's some folks that work at for Butler, Lyric Opera of Chicago, all kinds of different companies, which some of these looks like they're in Indy. But here it's going to create this database of all these different people that I could connect with, email with. I can also see if I have connections with them to ask for an introduction, so it doesn't have to be that like really weird, like, hey, I'm just coming out of nowhere, which I actually don't think is that weird, and we can talk about that. So, oh, looks like we lost our place. Okay, so that is a great resource. Also, like I said, volunteering. So if you're interested in trying something new, I think just maybe asking a contact to volunteer somewhere, maybe with your Greek organization, if you're Greek here at Butler, maybe with different just organizations in your community, different professional organizations. I think that that's a great way to meet some new folks. And also attend traditional networking events. So alumni chapter events, if you live in a city that has a Butler alumni chapter, your professional organizations, your Greek organizations. You know, actually, so I was in Alpha Chi Omega here at Butler, and we have a great alumni chapter here in Indy. And so we also have a card euchre club, which is pretty fun. And so I've actually made a new friend through there who she just moved here from Missouri and is job hunting. And think of like all these awesome contacts that she's made just from like going to a silly like card club, and she's job hunting, and I send her jobs all the time that I see. Like it's just easy like that. Like and that isn't even a traditional networking event. That's just using your resources and making new friends. So we'll talk a little bit about networking events because sometimes we have to go to them for work or different things. And if you are an introvert, it's like your worst nightmare. And even for myself, who's pretty extroverted, sometimes it's my worst nightmare, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this. So it's good to go in with a strategy and know what you want to do. So arriving early is key. You don't want to be late. It's just first impressions. Also, do your homework ahead of time. Know who is going to be there. Who do you want to meet? Why are you going? What's your purpose for going? You can also just, hang back, scan the room, see who's there. When you're talking to people, you want to make eye contact, eat or at least snack ahead of time. It can also be helpful to just have some sort of drink. So if there's like an awkward lull in the conversation, you can like take a drink and like think for 2 seconds about what you want to say, like a glass of water or something. I also think it's like some keys that are really helpful for me are set realistic networking goals. So I'll go sometimes and say, all right, I'm going to get 3 business cards, or I'm going to connect with 5 new people today. Also, like, be brave. I joke sometimes, like, networking and dating are kind of the same thing in that you got to be brave. You got to put yourself out there. You got to go and just talk to people and walk up and introduce yourself. Also, be open to talking to people who don't necessarily have a similar background. Just because you know, you want to be a lawyer and they're not a lawyer doesn't mean their spouse isn't a lawyer or their best friend or a colleague. Like, you don't know where that could go. And you might also like start up some other really cool conversations or just make a new buddy or make a new pal. You can also ask event hosts to introduce you to people, especially if you're at a Butler sanctioned event. I think that's really appropriate because the hosts are going to know everybody. It might be a little bit hard at the professional organizations, but certainly at a Butler event. And then follow up, send that thank you message. Let people know that you appreciate their time and you appreciate talking to them and you want to get to know them better. So informational interviews is a great way to follow up. So informational interviews might be the formal way to say it, but I also think we know it as let's get coffee and talk about your job, or, you know, let's get dinner, let's get lunch. I think it's the common piece. So if you have a new contact that you're really excited about, set up an informational interview. It's a great time to ask questions about profession, industry, or company. You can do it on the phone or face-to-face. I'd recommend face-to-face if you can, but if you can't talk, you know, if you're not in the same city, phone calls would definitely be best. So ask for advice, not a job, kind of like we talked about earlier. And you can ask them questions that just will get them talking. I mean, people love to talk about themselves. So if you just ask them what they like and what they know about, they're going to talk to you about it. So just really advice for getting into the career, the company, or the location. What do they like? What do they dislike? Well, you take a look at my resume. Do you know if there are any openings? Like, do you know anybody else that I could talk to that would be really helpful? Maybe what were some challenges you found when you were starting this profession? Did you relocate to this city? So let's say you're wanting to move out of state and you're on the phone chatting with somebody. You know, what are some things you like to do in the city? What should I know? What should I check out when I move? Those kinds of questions. These folks can also turn into mentors. You never know. And sometimes they can lead to jobs or internships, which is really awesome and really exciting when that happens. So LinkedIn, which we talked a little bit about. Your LinkedIn profile is almost equally important as your resume. If not more so, I would say they're about tied. And a critical part of your job search. Your LinkedIn profile is really going to be your online resume. And I have a resource that'll get sent out tomorrow with your survey that it's like a LinkedIn cheat sheet. We'll also have the LinkedIn webinar attached so that you can do it. So you can check out that as well. So you can find job postings. You can follow those dream companies. You can make yourself available to recruiters. You can connect with new people, especially Butler alumni. We actually had a few questions about LinkedIn, and I wanted to address them because I think they're really important. Somebody asked about sending LinkedIn requests to fellow alum just to send them. Like if you want to work at X company and there's a Butler alum that works at X company, just send them a connection. I think it's totally appropriate to reach out to them, but I wouldn't ever connect with somebody that you've never met face to face without a message and a why you want to connect with them. Just saying, hey, I'm a fellow Butler alum. We're looking at moving to this area, and I would love to connect with you about your job. Go Dogs, you know, just a little message. That was one big question that we got. And I also think LinkedIn is a fantastic resource if you are wanting to relocate cities. If you want to relocate cities, LinkedIn's huge. I looked at moving to Raleigh, North Carolina for a while and actually got a couple job interviews out of just some LinkedIn networking. An old boss of mine had a connection in Raleigh who passed my resume off to another connection and then he forwarded my resume around the North Carolina State House when I was working in politics at the time. And then I got an interview from it. It's like, you never know what's going to happen if you connect with these people. Like, it literally went through a chain of 3 people. Like, in my interview, that gal was like, how do you know this guy? And I said, well, I don't. I just kind of got passed around, and it was awesome. So that's huge. Also, if you are living somewhere else and wanting to relocate back to Indy, our office is here to help you. We have connections. We also have connections, you know, around the country as well. But especially if you're moving to Indy, like, reach out to us, call us. We'll set up a time for you to chat with the career advisor and get you plugged in. But we also have some great alumni communities all over the country as well, which have some great connections. So those are some of your questions on LinkedIn. Like I said, I have a cheat sheet for you that I will send. The alumni office will send it actually with the survey about this program. So that is exciting. And so really, last but not least, when you're talking about networking and the job search, like utilize internship and career services. We are here. We are a free resource. I mean, you could meet with us once a week for forever, and that's just how it is. You can meet one-on-one with a career advisor for individualized career advice. They are actually liaisons, like per college, to different colleges on campus, and thus have a lot of connections with different industries. And so it's awesome to know that, like, let's say you want to work in a lab or do science of some sort. I would, only non-sciencey people would say you want to do science, but know that you can talk to a career advisor who's really familiar with that world and what that's all about. And I think that's exciting. One of our career advisors is a former teacher and wanted to leave teaching. And you would be surprised like how many alumni we have that are like so jazzed to hear that we have a former teacher who doesn't want to be a teacher anymore, kind of walking through that process. So it's really awesome. If you're interested in doing an appointment and getting involved with our office, that's my email right there. You can just shoot me an email and I will get you all set up. And so I'll go ahead and turn this over to questions. For those of you who just need to get going or whatnot, that's totally fine. Thank you so much for joining us and kind of being partners with us in this new initiative that we're doing. And but I will also stick around for questions until you guys don't have any more. So thank you. And if you do have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box here. I can open it back up again. Oh, looks like I have one. Yes, so alumni meet with the career advisors. They have like targeted groups that they meet with, and so they kind of associate with both like majors and industries as well. They're awesome. I still meet with them and I work with them. It's great. Any other questions? One question that we did get, I guess, that I did not address while in the middle of the presentation is somebody asked us ahead of time about the best way to discreetly go about interviewing while holding a full-time job. And that can be a real challenge. So the question verbatim was, what's the best way to discreetly go about interviewing while holding a full-time job? I've been having a hard time being able to step away from my desk, or I've had to use vacation time to take interviews. Any tips or tricks? Is it appropriate to ask potential employers to do a phone interview instead? I don't think that it is a bad idea. It can't hurt to ask. You can always ask, politely, and just say, hey, is there any way that we could do this right at 5 or something like that? But also be prepared for them to say no. Looking for a new job is an investment, and it's very irritating to take vacation to do it. And, if it's a tense work environment, it can be really awkward to tell your supervisor, hey, I'm taking off another spur of the moment day again. But it's kind of the name of the game. But it also doesn't hurt to ask, your potential employer if they have some other time flexibility as well. Another question that I got was switching careers without having to go back to school. This is a delicate balance. I think first off, you have to emphasize your transferable skills, and that's where networking is going to be huge. So let's say you work in finance and you want to transition to education. Networking, like you just have to know people. You have to talk to them, tell them about your skills, what you're good at, what you enjoy. And then once they have a sense of who you are, they're probably going to be a lot more willing to take a chance on you and to teach you. But you do have some of those transferable skills that are going to be valuable: communication, being a team player, creativity. Emphasizing those things that everybody needs is going to be huge. And also demonstrating a passion for something can speak volumes. You know, some things you will just have to go back to school for. Like if you're going to be a nurse or you want to be in the classroom, I mean, that's just how it is. But not for all fields and not for all things. And so being able to show your passion and showing your transferable skills and networking is going to put you in a much better spot to do so. So those were the other two questions that I did not address in the presentation, but did now. So does anybody else have any questions that they have at this time? Alrighty, well, doesn't look like we have any more questions. So thank you so much for your time this evening and for doing this with us. If you do have any other questions or you're like, oh, I don't want to ask in front of the group, my email is just right here on the screen, kschreiner@butler.edu. And I'd be more than happy to set up a time to chat or get you set up with a career advisor. So thank you so much and have a great rest of your evening.